like kind of rag on Michael Jordan here a little bit, and I think we were a similar ilk with the Jazz. Is I like where guys just tighten their belt up and say, you know what, let's go to work. We just got to get better. We got to play harder. We got to play smarter. Instead of just, where's the grass greener? I'm going to go there and win a championship. I think it devalues that. You're not climbing the mountain. You're taking the helicopter to the top.
Which is your worth? You're flying a chopper to the summit of... I completely concur. Calm as stone, John Stockton sat. Additionally, the way he delivered that reality check was like someone putting ice water on the egos of everyone in the league. He didn't speak out. A great moment was not necessary for him. He simply spoke the truth as if it were nothing. The mountain is not being climbed by you. You're traveling to the summit by helicopter. That sentence was like a velvet-wrapped punch. Everyone was aware of the precise person he was referring to. It wasn't a direct remark. Delivered by a man who endured 19 seasons in the grind without once begging for superstar support. It was a direct message directed at LeBron. This wasn't a performer trying to get attention. This was Stockton, the quiet killer, who dropped 15,866 assists without ever offering an explanation or placing the blame on teammates. It's in a free fall already. I believe the
I think the Bronny thing started the free fall. I think people around the league are looking like, yeah, you're LeBron, but you're not like 27-year-old LeBron. You're not even 34-year-old LeBron. Like, you're an old man now who's dictating and destroying the Lakers because you want your son to play. And look what
banter. He was pointing to a complete changing culture. He came from a world where you had to learn every step the hard way, but some players today search for easier ways. Stockton refers to the Utah Jazz grind when he talks of climbing the mountain. Every year, he and Karl Malone engage in combat, suffer severe defeats at the hands of Michael Jordan, and then return prepared for more fighting, as if nothing could break them. Never once did they say, let's find an easier spot to win. Season after season, they remained imprisoned and engaged in combat using whatever weapons they possessed. And when you contrast it with the kind of career decisions LeBron made, the picture becomes much clearer without the need for additional words. Yes, when you look at the two occupations, the differences are immediately apparent, and they are more noticeable than most people would like to acknowledge. LeBron left for Miami to hook up with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade as soon as things became tense in Cleveland for the first time, acting as though he was changing levels in a computer game. He immediately returned to Cleveland when that circumstance began to feel outdated. However, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were already waiting for him this time. And as that team disintegrated, he quickly left for Los Angeles to play with Anthony Davis, as if it were all a part of an upgraded system. He discovered another helicopter waiting for him each time the ascent became more difficult. Stockton made it sound that way, at least. The entire room froze at the way he stated it. This is where the conversation becomes much more intense, though. Stockton was pointing out more than just switching teams. He was discussing the distinction between purchasing and building. Piece by piece, the Jazz crafted their entire run. Draft selections, growth, synergy, and a truly indigenous culture. It wasn't an overnight super team. It was labor-intensive, sweaty, and traditional job. LeBron's teams came together like fast food, man. Mega moves, big acquisitions, last-minute roster changes, and yes, he did win rings, no one disputes that. Stockton's argument, however, went further. In the end, how you win matters just as much as the actual trophies. It's startling that more people, including admirers who previously opposed the idea, are beginning to support it. But before we get further into that discussion, there is a more significant issue that lies at the center of the whole circumstance and is rarely discussed. How do we remember players after they finish? The retirement test is the true test. You are left with the unadulterated reality of what a legend has accomplished after they leave and the commotion subsides. And that's where LeBron's situation becomes challenging, because the pattern doesn't appear to be welcoming. Even after he retired, Michael Jordan's legacy endured. It blew up. From Jordan might be the GOAT, to Jordan is absolutely the GOAT, to no one is ever touching that man's throne. And like a character from a great story, he becomes more and more legendary every year. His flu game seems even more incredible. Russell's push-off is replayed like a work of art. Every little detail grows into something more significant and recognizable. Over time, even Michael Jordan's terrible losses, like being swept by the Celtics, end up strengthening his narrative. In a way that seems almost surreal, everything comes together to form his legend, as if each failure was a component of a greater story. But even though LeBron is still playing, his weaknesses are becoming apparent, and that's the reason this entire discussion is so bizarre. Give it some thought. When was the last time LeBron gave a performance that made you shout, jump out of your seat, and call people? When was the last time you felt like you were entering basketball history? These days, even radio hosts are saying it. LeBron may not receive the same treatment from retirement as Jordan did, and it is a dire warning. LeBron's whole GOAT case relies heavily on longevity, volume, and numbers, but their statistics remain unchanged as soon as he leaves the game. And additionally, once they freeze, people start to question how he arrived at the totals, rather than being impressed by them. It sounds legendary to play 21 seasons, but the latter stretch was just him staying on the court to score more points. It sounds amazing to be the all-time scoring leader, but remember, he had to play more games than anyone else in history to reach that milestone. And then there's the part that more fans are currently discussing in whispers, the super team element. The question that unnerves LeBron fans will be asked by more people as time goes on. How many of those rings originated from real grind? How many of them were the result of stacking superstar assistants? This is why Stockton's helicopter line is maturing like fine wine. As the years go by, it only gets more intense. Here's the crazy turn of events. This entire situation relates to a much bigger issue in the modern game. We are talking about the crisis of authenticity in sports. Stockton is a symbol of a fading fashion trend, raw, devoted, indigenous, and built rather than purchased energy. Whether it's fair or not, LeBron is beginning to represent everything that people find objectionable in the new athlete culture. Switching teams, picking scenarios, building image on the fly, chasing gentle landings instead of steep climbs. And it was this disparity that caused the entire basketball community to argue louder than ever. Stockton spent 19 years in a row in Utah. To be honest, Utah doesn't quite scream dream location for famous athletes looking for big city spotlights or easy endorsements.
He had the option to compel a trade. In New York or Los Angeles, he could have pursued bright lights. He had the option of joining a squad that was already quite successful. However, he didn't. He remained where he was, made do with what he had, and continued to grind like an unstoppable machine. Man, LeBron's route seems very different. His media circle at Clutch Sports seems to have planned, refined, and packaged every move. Not even the choice seemed like pure basketball. It wasn't the game. Rather, it was a full-fledged TV event meant to promote his brand. Returning to Cleveland wasn't the sentimental coming-home experience that supporters attempt to portray it as. It appeared to be more of an attempt to improve his reputation. Before it ever reaches the timeline, his social media posts seem to have been cleaned, filtered, evaluated, approved, and stamped by a committee. And you know what? At last, people are beginning to take notice. Hall of Famers, guys who normally keep quiet and mind their own business, are suddenly breaking their silence and throwing real shots at LeBron, stated a radio presenter. These legends are able to distinguish between real and fake things, and for that reason, they are now taking action. The game was tough and natural while they were growing up. Additionally, they are witnessing LeBron transform everything into a very well-produced business show. This is the twist that intensifies the impact of the entire situation. Older players aren't the only ones being turned off by this authenticity issue. Fans are beginning to sense it as well. Recall the radio host's statement that teams don't even appear devastated when LeBron departs? That struck a deep chord because it is accurate. Never before has LeBron been greater than the cities he represented. In contrast to the all-time idols, he never assimilated into the community. Even when he won championships, he always felt like someone who was just passing through. The entire city of Chicago felt like it had lost a family member when Jordan departed. Los Angeles handled Kobe's retirement like a national celebration. But the attitude is more along the lines of, hey, appreciate the moments. Wherever you go next, I hope it works out. That says it all about how people actually perceive him. And that brings us directly to Stockton's harshest judgment. To make it hit as hard as it did, he didn't even need to raise his voice. Basketball is no longer the only factor in this whole issue. Character decisions and what is known as the Bronny factor are at play. All you need to do to understand why LeBron's legacy is being overlooked in some discussions is to take a look at his son's current situation. Because what Stockton was discussing is revealed at this precise moment. LeBron forced the Lakers to select Bronny in the draft. Everyone is aware that Bronny wasn't the greatest college standout or the best potential player. He didn't dominate the season. Recruits weren't instantly converted into admirers by him. He simply was selected because LeBron wanted to play with him. Additionally, teams don't want the smoke of upsetting LeBron, so he always gets his way. That is the ultimate helicopter mentality. Because of who his father is, there will be no gradual ascent or grinding up the mountain, just immediate rise. Rather than allowing Bronny to carve out his own path, maybe spend actual time in the G League, prove himself, and gain respect, LeBron essentially lifted him directly into the league, and since it was LeBron's request, no one checked him. This is the one that hurts the most, and it's the one that makes supporters talk louder every day. It gives the impression that LeBron will always prioritize his own objectives over those of the team. Bronny wasn't selected by the Lakers with the intention of helping them win games. They were afraid LeBron might depart if they didn't choose him. Fans are not blind. They see that from a great distance. The same thing is being whispered by people in the league. Yes, you are LeBron, but you are no longer the 27-year-old LeBron. As an older celebrity, he is now pressuring a franchise to change everything in order to give his son more time. And that's a tough appearance for anyone, particularly for someone who is chasing a status. Although it may sound harsh, this is the truth. LeBron's actions with Bronny resemble those of wealthy families everywhere, who use their position to provide their children access to opportunities they haven't yet earned. Giving their kids such shortcuts is something that most families would never consider. And it affects people differently because it seems like Bronny avoided the challenges that everyone else must overcome. And Stockton's whole helicopter versus mountain line is a great fit with that. Some people get to the top without even having to prove they belong, while others have to work for it. Stockton's kids were not excluded from the league because their father was John Stockton. They had to battle for slots, struggle, and ascend on their own terms. That's what does a mountain look like, step by step. No unique doors or shortcuts opening merely due to a last name. In the meanwhile, Bronny's circumstances are merely the tip of the iceberg. It is a component of a larger pattern that has been observed LeBron throughout the duration of his career. Moreover, it leads directly to the clutch empire in sports. This section is the most fans don't fully comprehend. Since LeBron is more than simply a basketball player, no longer, he is the leader of an entire device that can reach throughout the whole league. Clutch Sports is not just an agency, it is a powerful and influential entity in every aspect of NBA culture. Thus, when according to the radio broadcaster, Stockton does not work for Clutch Sports and will never work for Clutch Sports, they were pointing to a large object without even uttering it aloud. LeBron has spent years creating a network that extends well beyond the court. The Clutch depicts a prominent NBA lineup players. They are connected to enormous media channels, and they've been connected to important decisions made throughout the league. Free agency, coaching, and draft movements, adjustments, group tactics, anything. When LeBron needs something completed, he uses more than just his basketball status. He uses all of his business structure to facilitate movement. That's why John Stockton is able to speak freely. The machine does not bind him. He doesn't require the device. He doesn't respond to Clutch Sports. However, a lot of the voices of the media and current players don't possess that liberty. They are linked through agreements, connections, or commercial prospects. Additionally, speaking out against LeBron might put them in the outside very quickly. However, this is the twist. Constructing such an empire has a significant price tag, and that price appears every time someone discusses genuineness. Every time LeBron made a choice that prioritized business rather than starting from basketball, another of his basketball aura faded away. And that gradual drip over time has evolved into something that fans are currently freely inquiring. The choice wasn't only basketball. It was intended for television, a launch-style branding moment incident rather than a hoop move. And when he visited the Lakers, it didn't feel like, let me pursue one more ring, like a pure mission. Hollywood access was at issue, commercial relationships, and establishing the subsequent chapter on lifestyle. Supporters believe that energy, which is audible everywhere, people can see that LeBron's decisions aren't no longer solely motivated by basketball. Everything has a tight, deliberate vibe, controlled, and occasionally almost chilly. Moreover, this is where Stockton differs the hardest. Stockton maintained everything straightforward. No branding, no drama plays, no commercial schemes. His perspective was a single query. What makes us successful? That was the entire formula. Not an empire construction, just basketball, no Hollywood, in Utah, pure and unadulterated. And moreover, this is the wild part. Each year that passes, more individuals are showing gratitude, the level of purity. It is refreshing during a period when everything appears strategic and filtered. And that lets the way to the most important question in this entire conversation. Here it is then. The million-dollar question everyone is afraid to make a vocal inquiry. Was Stockton John genuinely correct? Will LeBron's legacy endure to cool off after his retirement, but Jordan and Kobe continue to climb higher and higher in the rankings of legends? Due to, yes, all of the signs are flashing right now, and they're not subtle. It's not only about basketball these days. It's a change of culture. Fans of today want more genuinity than ever before. They're weary of pre-planned situations, weary of media-trained statements, weary of tales that seem made rather than real. They desire genuine individuals with genuine challenges, actual conflicts, actual wounds. Hey, and LeBron's story doesn't feel real to me, no matter how rich he is, people any longer. It seems planned, finished, and put together. In the meantime, check out the stars that fans really care about. They're the ones whose stories feel real, messy, broken, and human. Muhammad Ali quit at the height of his career to stand up for what he thought was right. People still feel that spirit after all these years. Jackie Robinson pushed through unbelievable amounts of hate just to open doors for the next generation. Michael Jordan got knocked around by the Pistons year after year, then came back stronger than ever like he was made in fire. These stories really hit home because they're about refusing to avoid problems and instead facing them head on. LeBron's story, for all the success, doesn't follow that road. It feels more like improvement. Every major move in his career looks perfectly calculated to avoid failure and boost the odds in his favor. And while that's smart business, it doesn't build mythical stories. It doesn't create that timeless vibe people pass down to younger fans. And here's the part that might hit LeBron the hardest. The new generation doesn't have that emotional connection older fans had with legends like Ali, Robinson, Jordan, or Kobe. To them, LeBron looks like another superstar with a full brand team, a polished image, and times that feel planned out instead of raw and heartfelt. They see the shine, not the passion. So when LeBron retires, he won't have an army of fans ready to defend his reputation with their whole chest the way MJ and Kobe still do today.
Instead, he'll have Clutch Sports rolling out comments, promo clips, and documentary trailers. But manufactured love has an end date. The love that lasts forever has to come from something real. That's exactly why the radio host said that in 10 years, some people might rank LeBron 5th or even 6th all time. And honestly, that might be fair, because once the business empire cools off and the media noise dies down, all that remains is the basketball, nothing else. And when you strip everything away and just look at the actual game, the GOAT case for LeBron starts to wobble. Stockton climbed the mountain for 19 straight years and never hit the top. But his legacy stays rock strong because people know he gave everything he had every single season. His story feels real, human, and sincere. And that's the kind of legacy that lives forever. LeBron reached the top multiple times, no question about that. But his reputation is slipping because a lot of people feel like he didn't climb the mountain the hard way. He skipped steps and took the smoother way instead. That helicopter line from Stockton wasn't just a slick jab. It was a reminder of how real legends get rated. Not by stacked numbers, not by super team rings, but by the character they show when the spotlight isn't even on them. LeBron spent 20 years building a massive empire, businesses, branding, impact. But somewhere in that process, he forgot to build the kind of memory that sticks to people's hearts. He improved every move for success, but forgot the story behind the success. He boosted his brand to crazy heights, but the authenticity took the damage along the way. And now, as his career slows down, all those shortcuts, all those strategic jumps, all those carefully planned moves, they're finally starting to show up on the scores of public opinion. People are looking back and asking real questions about what mattered and what didn't. Because The Rock, it's still standing tall, and it's waiting for someone who's ready to climb it brick by brick, the hard way, with no shortcuts and no helicopter rides. Stockton never reached the top, but he's remembered as a real legend because he gave everything he had to the climb every single year. LeBron reached the top more than once, but he might end up known as the guy who always found the shortcut to get there. And in the end, that's the real difference between being great and being remembered as great. Stockton just reminded the whole world which one actually matters. If this breakdown gave you a fresh view on the game, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this video, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you on the next.
I mean, I like kind of bragging on Michael Jordan here a little bit. And I think we were a similar ilk with the Jazz, is I like where guys just tighten their belt up and say, you know what, let's go to work. We just got to get better. We got to play harder. We got to play smarter. Instead of just, where's the grass greener? I'm going to go there and win a champion. I think it devalues that you're not climbing the mountain. You're taking a chopper to the top. Totally agree.